Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're looking at something many people think they know, but maybe don't fully appreciate, the universal architecture of the 12 steps.
It's a great topic because most people just hear 12 steps and immediately think of recovery from substance abuse. And of course, that's its origin.
Right.
But our source material shows that if you actually strip all that away, what you're left with is this incredibly powerful and universally relevant structure for change. It works for anyone stuck in any kind of recurring struggle.
From like chronic procrastination
Yeah.
to relationship patterns you can't seem to break.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's unpack that. Our mission for this deep dive is to really dissect the common core of the steps. We want to get into what each step does, what it's for.
Yeah, to show it's not some static checklist you just tick off. It's a dynamic pathway. The secret is really in understanding the flow, the architecture of it all.
That flow is key. And when you look across all the different groups that use this framework, the themes are always the same.
Always. You see acceptance, then this really rigorous self-examination, then a period of deep transformation, and finally this shift into ongoing daily maintenance. If you get that dynamic, you get the engine of change.
So let's jump in at the beginning, the foundation. This is what we're calling the new journey, which covers steps 1, 2, and 3.
Step 1. This is it, the critical moment. The sources all define it as that admission of being, of being stuck, powerless.
That feeling that the problem is just too big for your current toolkit.
Yes, it is the absolute turning point.
That admission sounds terrifying, but what I find is that it's also a profound moment of clarity.
It is. It's realizing you've hit a wall. You've reached the limit of trying to fix a systemic problem with the same thinking that created it.
You're basically trading in the old way of life, which clearly isn't working, for the possibility of a new one.
And that realization that you're powerless over this one specific thing, it naturally leads you to the next idea, to step 2.
Finding resources.
Finding resources, yeah. You recognize you need outside help. That could be a community, a psychological framework, a spiritual anchor, anything.
And this is where the sources really clarify how non-dogmatic this whole architecture is. That outside resource, the thing often called a higher power.
Right.
It doesn't have to be a deity or anything supernatural. It just has to be something more effective, more powerful than what you've got on your own.
It's so pragmatic. The whole emphasis is on efficacy. What you were doing wasn't working. So you have to align with something that does. Which brings us right to step 3.
The decision.
The conscious decision to accept that help, to rely on it.
Now, a lot of the traditional language here can be a bit heavy. You hear words like submission or surrender.
And that can be a real sticking point for people, especially today. It can feel like you're giving up your autonomy.
Totally.
That's why our research points to more approachable words. Think of it less as surrender and more like alignment or cooperation, participation. My favorite is reliance.
I really like reliance, too, because it completely reframes it. It's not about losing control. It's about a strategic reassignment of control.
Yes. You're making a voluntary choice to rely less on your own struggling ego and instead to partner with something. Something smarter or wiser than yourself in that moment.
So once you've made that commitment, that alliance, the next logical step is to turn that new, honest perspective inward.
And that kicks off part 2. Examination and the bridge to change, steps 4 through 7. This is where the real work begins.
Starting with step 4.
The inventory.
The inventory. It's basically putting that ancient maxim, know thyself, into direct action.
It forces you to look really clearly at your beliefs, your desires, and the specific decisions that led you to where you are now.
And the sources are clear. It has to be structured. It's not just a vague feeling of, I'm a bad person. No, it's about categorizing things. Your resentments, your fears, your own conduct.
You have to get specific.
You have to get specific because you can't manage what you haven't meticulously measured. That structure is what keeps it from just becoming, wallowing in the past. And the source material is honest. It says this process is terrifying for most people.
Oh, it is.
But right after that, it highlights the result. A freedom like you have never known. It's the hero going into the cave to find the treasure.
And the risk of going into that cave is getting stuck, paralyzed by guilt or shame.
Yeah.
That's why having a sponsor, a mentor, a guide, it's absolutely paramount. You need someone to keep you on track.
So once that meticulous inventory is done, you move right into step 5.
Which is about sharing it. It's about accepting the results of step 4 and making them real.
There are 2 definitions I love from the sources here.
Which ones?
To confess is to accept. To share is to make real.
Oh, that's powerful. It
Yeah.
really is. Because it gets at the core issue of isolation, right? We hold these things in silence, and
Well,
that gives them power over us.
exactly. By saying them out loud to another person, you break that isolation. You share the way it's this unburdening experience.
Mm. And that unburdening sets you up perfectly for the next phase. This is what we call the middle bridge, steps 6 and 7. They're the literal center of the whole process.
They connect the problems you just dug up in steps 4 and 5 to the solutions you're about to enact in 8 and 9.
Yeah, and step 6 is about readiness. So you have the insight now. You know what you need to change. But insight alone is rarely enough.
Because these are habits, right? Learned behaviors. They often serve some kind of protective purpose in the past. They feel like a part of you.
They absolutely do. They were defense mechanisms. Step 6 requires this conscious, almost radical decision to say, okay, I'm ready to let these go.
But how do you do that without just using brute force willpower? I mean, if the whole problem started because willpower wasn't enough.
That is the crucial distinction. That's what step 7 is all about. It's about allowing the change to happen. Your effort isn't directed at your willpower. Your effort is directed at engaging the process of transformation.
So the change comes from that higher power, that resource you connected with back in step 2.
Yes. It's not you forcing it. The source material describes it as a natural process of growth from within, like a flower unfolding. You're allowing it, not imposing it.
And you can't skip this bridge.
You can't. If you try to make amends without this deep self-knowledge and readiness, you just end up with these, performative apologies that don't mean anything. The order is the architecture.
Which brings us perfectly to the final phase, part 3, cleaning up and continuing progress. Steps 8 through 12.
So with that readiness from step 7, the focus shifts outward again. Step 8 is making a list.
Another list.
Another list, yeah. This one is derived from your step 4 inventory, and it's a list of all the harm you've caused.
And it's comprehensive. The sources mention harm to yourself, to institutions, friends, family, even pets.
It's about mapping the full ripple effect of your actions.
Yeah.
But the purpose here is key. This is an opportunity to be free of what the sources call dark baggage.
It's not an exercise in beating yourself up.
Not at all. It's the final measurement you need before you can really be free.
And that freedom comes in step 9, making amends. This is the action.
This is where the rubber meets the road, and the research is clear on this. True inner peace is basically impossible until you do this to the best of your ability.
Call it karma, psychic balance, whatever you want.
Exactly. The mind seems to demand that you address the past if you want to live freely in the present.
But there's a huge critical caveat here that everyone listening needs to hear.
Yes, this is so important.
You absolutely do not make an amends if the act of doing it would cause more harm to the other person or to anyone.
That boundary is what protects the humanity of the whole process.
Okay, so once the past is addressed as best you can, the entire system pivots to the present and the future. Step 10.
Ongoing maintenance. This is your daily self-inventory.
It's basically quality control. It's about monitoring yourself so that when you get off track, and you will get off track,
Everybody does.
you notice it immediately, and you admit it and correct it right away before a small mistake snowballs into a step 1 level problem again.
Then you have step 11, which is about continuing that growth. The words used are prayer and meditation, but they're really just placeholders.
Placeholders for whatever method you choose to connect with that external resource, that higher power. It's about maintaining that relationship day to day.
And it all culminates in step 12,
Yeah.
giving back.
You take everything you've learned through this whole intense process, and you carry that message to others. You just try to make the world a little better.
And there's what the sources call an odd quirk in the universe here. The act of helping other people just inevitably makes your own life better. It cements all the change you've made.
So let's pull this all together. Let's talk about the universal relevance of this architecture.
Well, the flow is just so logical.
Yeah.
Steps 1 through 3 are about acceptance and reliance. 4 and 5 are the honest examination.
6 and 7 are the bridge to change.
8 and 9 clean up the past. And 10, 11, and 12 make it a part of your daily life.
You know what's so fascinating? The way the sources connect this entire process to the archetypal hero's journey?
Yes, it's a perfect overlay. It shows that the steps don't just solve a problem. They fundamentally transform how you approach your life. You become the hero of your own story.
Step 1 is the call to adventure.
Totally. And steps 4 and 5, the inventory and sharing, that's the descent and ordeal. Step 12 is the return with the elixir, bringing back the wisdom you've gained. Every challenge makes you stronger.
The beauty of it is its adaptability. It really is a universal infrastructure for managing the human condition.
It is. Think of the steps as the foundation and the frame of a house. You can then use any practical self-help tool you want, and it will actually work because the foundation is solid.
Give us an example. Like, how would you apply a modern wellness practice to this?
Okay, say you're struggling with conflict at work. You could use step 10 as a quick mental check-in at the end of each day. Did I have a resentment toward anyone? Did I act out of fear? You catch it and correct it before it gets worse.
Or using step 3 to rely on the wisdom of a mentor instead of just your own stubborn ego.
Exactly. Or using step 11 not just as meditation, but as dedicated time for deep reflection before a big decision. The steps provide the rails for these tools to run on.
And the sources really encourage making the bookend steps. So 1, 2, 3, and 10, 11, 12, a part of your daily practice, a daily habit.
By doing that, you make sure that even when you have setbacks, you never go all the way back to that initial state of hopelessness.
So what's the big takeaway? What does this all mean? For me, it's that the steps teach you to see life not as this ladder to some impossible perfection,
No, not at all.
but as a continuous dynamic process of becoming. The growth is in the journey itself.
And that process completely changes how you see setbacks. They stop being failures. They become stepping stones. They become data for positive change.
Which leaves us with a final thought for you, the listener. We've talked about how this process mirrors the hero's journey. So the question is this: how might viewing your own recurring struggle through the structured lens of a personal hero's journey fundamentally change your commitment to the effort required in step 7 to actually engage with the process of transformation instead of just relying on your own exhausting willpower?